Russia, a land of breathtaking vastness that stretches across the horizon, holds the distinction of being the largest country in the world. But beneath its surface, a tale of uneven economic prosperity unfolds. The majority of Russia's wealth is concentrated in specific regions, posing an ongoing challenge for its leaders throughout history. Today, this challenge weighs heavily on the shoulders of Putin, especially in the wake of his controversial invasion of Ukraine, which further exacerbates the potential disintegration of the Russian state. Recent events, like the rise of Russian separatists seizing control of the town of Belgorod on the Russian-Ukrainian border, raise concerns about the turbulent times that may lie ahead. While the situation may appear stable at first glance, history reminds us that stability does not guarantee immunity from collapse. We need only look back to the 1980s when the Soviet Union crumbled, or the early 1910s when the Russian empires fell. Disturbing similarities to those past events begin to emerge, capturing the attention of those who are well-versed in Russian history. But what would a collapse of Russia in the 21st century look like? How would global and regional powers, such as the United States and China, seize the opportunity to solidify their positions? These questions beg exploration, as they carry significant implications. Many insightful observers have noticed that Putin may be treading the same path as previous Russian leaders, making similar mistakes that could potentially lead Russia towards disintegration, echoing the challenges of its past. To understand this predicament, we must embark on a brief journey through Russia's history, for as the saying goes, national interest is often shaped by the lessons of the past. Russia's roots can be traced back to the humble empire of Moscow. Although its history is as intricate and rich as any other nation's, Moscow was once a peaceful sanctuary until the Mongols invaded in the 1200s, subjecting the land to their dominion and exploiting its resources and people. This painful era served as a profound lesson for the Russians, revealing the vulnerability of Moscow, the heart of Russia, due to the absence of natural barriers like mountains or oceans. In the late 1400s, Ivan the Great freed Russia from Mongol rule and embarked on a mission to expand its territories, creating a buffer zone between Moscow and its adversaries. After Ivan the Great's passing, Ivan the Terrible ascended to the throne, continuing the expansion of Russian influence deep into the east, ultimately bringing Siberia under Moscow's control. Interestingly, Ivan the Terrible earned his infamous epithet not for his territorial conquests, but for his tyrannical rule over the Russian nobility. However, after Ivan the Terrible's death in 1584, Moscow plunged into a state of civil strife. Invasions by Poland, although short-lived, threw the city into chaos. This turbulent period persisted until Mikhail Romanov assumed leadership in 1613, establishing the Romanov dynasty. Over the next 3 centuries, the Romanovs reigned over Russia, expanding its borders here and there. It's worth noting that during this era, Russia's territorial dominion extended all the way to Alaska. In fact, Alaska remained a Russian territory until 1865, when it was sold to the United States. In the early 20th century, Russia experienced a series of tumultuous events that ultimately led to the collapse of the Russian Empire. The dissatisfaction of the population, exacerbated by World War Russian Revolution of 1917 and the subsequent Civil War, resulted in the establishment of the Soviet Union in 1922. Under the leadership of Vladimir Lenin and later Joseph Stalin, the Soviet Union emerged as a superpower, expanding its influence and becoming a rival to the United States during the Cold War. However, cracks within the Soviet Union began to appear, driven by economic stagnation, political repression, and the aspirations of various ethnic groups seeking independence. In 1991, the Soviet Union dissolved, giving rise to the Russian Federation under the leadership of Boris Yeltsin. This transition was accompanied by significant political, social, and economic challenges, as Russia struggled to redefine its identity and transition to a market-based economy. Vladimir Putin came to power in 1999 and has since maintained a firm grip on Russian politics. While his early years were marked by stability and economic growth, concerns about democratic backsliding, corruption, and the concentration of power have grown in recent years. Putin's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and subsequent involvement in the conflict in eastern Ukraine strained Russia's relations with the West and resulted in economic sanctions. The invasion of Ukraine has further deepened Russia's economic and political challenges. Economic sanctions, coupled with a decline in oil prices, have put significant strain on the Russian economy. The country's reliance on oil and gas exports has made it vulnerable to fluctuations in global energy markets. Additionally, Russia's aggressive foreign policy and territorial ambitions have isolated it diplomatically and heightened tensions with neighboring countries and international powers. The potential collapse of Russia in the 21st century could have far-reaching consequences. The fragmentation of the country could lead to territorial disputes, power struggles, and instability within and beyond its borders. Global powers such as the United States and China would likely seek to exploit the situation to advance their own interests and influence in the region. The geopolitical landscape could undergo significant shifts, potentially leading to increased competition and conflicts. However, it is important to note that predicting the future is inherently uncertain, and the fate of Russia is shaped by various complex factors. While history can provide valuable insights, it does not provide a definitive roadmap for what lies ahead. The actions and decisions of leaders, societal dynamics, and external factors will all play a role in determining Russia's future trajectory. As we conclude our exploration, it is crucial to approach the topic with an open mind, acknowledging the complexities and uncertainties involved. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and if you have any further questions, feel free to ask.